Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Apostate Weekly. We are now calling this season 2, actually, because we did about 30 episodes, and I'm trying to just keep it broken up easier for people to track whenever they're watching on their computer. So we got a special guest with us today, Martin Haugh, who has some stories to tell us. And I'm James, your host,
And
and
I'm Rion.
let's go ahead and roll that intro. All right, so here we are, season 2, episode 1, and please be sure to check out the channel. Ryan did some artwork for our thumbnails and updated it for us, and I think it looks absolutely fantastic. So thank you, Ryan, for
Yeah,
doing that.
absolutely.
So, Martin, how you doing today, man?
Doing great. How are you guys doing?
We're doing
Good.
awesome.
Welcome.
So, brought you on the channel because you had this interesting Twitter post that I thought was worthy of talking about, and how somehow you became this notorious apostate in your area. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, I don't think the Jehovah's Witnesses like me very much. I don't know what I did. So
What makes you
again,
think that?
I was a former elder for 5 years. I had a lot of assignments in the area. I was a pioneer for about a number of years. I gave talks at the pioneer meeting once a year with the circuit overseer. So I wasn't a famous elder. I wasn't like the guy, but I did give talks out. But because I used all my training and knowledge against them, they really don't like me anymore. So 5 years ago, my wife and I, with Mark O'Donnell, his wife, and a bunch of other people, we did protest at a convention in Reading, Pennsylvania. Um, but we were really respectful. We got permission from the city. We let the police know. We even let Jehovah's Witnesses know that we were going to come and protest. We didn't block anybody from coming in, and we didn't stop people. We didn't try to enter the building, but we were there. So I that was the only time I've been to any religious Jehovah's Witness event in the 7.5 years that I woke up and my wife and I left. I did go to actually Mark O'Donnell's father's funeral in February of 2019 in Baltimore, but I didn't pretend to be a witness. I just said, "Hey, I'm a friend of Mark. My son came with me." And they offered us studies, but I was respectful, did not break up their worship, did not try to interrupt them. My wife and I have never crashed a cart, never knocked over a display or anything like that. Because even though I don't agree with the cult, I'm not going to disrespect somebody's worship. So I found out last
Mm.
week that I was banned from all the conventions in the Reading area, which is pretty crazy.
That is
I know who
crazy.
you are. They
Now,
know you are wanted man, Martin.
Yeah.
now what I thought was funny was that Twitter post you sent out. So there was an email that was sent to the attendants, and specifically pointing you out, your wife, and all this for somebody who doesn't ever come and
Yeah.
crash or do anything at their convention. So it's like, my only guess is they saw you on the local news,
Yeah.
because obviously, for those who've been watching this show every week, know we've been reporting on your story in your area as well. And so that's my only guess. They saw that and they're like, well, this guy must be a threat to us, so we better kind of nip this in the bud.
Mm.
Even though, I mean, I know they have no idea what your intentions are or
Yeah.
not. So in a way, I kind of get that, but in another way, you've never done anything. So like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What makes me sad is that they lied in the email again about my wife and I. And I didn't include it in my Twitter post. There was another woman, another page, and they said that she had mental instability. She's not crazy. She is crazy. She has violent outbursts. They even included a picture of her car, which she's driving, which is a little creepy, So I thought it was a little invasion of privacy. They had my
Mm.
where we live, my wife and I, our town. So yeah, I'm just shocked by it. But I was listening to a podcast last week, and it was funny, and they said that one of the hardest volunteer organizations or nonprofits to raise money for is Mothers Against Drunk Driving, because there is no organizations Mothers for Drunk Driving. It was just their idea, or their excuse me, where you need a bad person or you need a group against you to make your group look better, to and the Republicans do it. They say the Democrats are evil. Democrats do it. They say the Republicans are evil. So they a lot of these corporations, a lot of these nonprofits, they need a bad boogeyman to make them look like, hey, careful, they're coming for us. And I think Jehovah's Witnesses just used a low-hanging fruit and said, look at this bad man. We're the true own religion, so be scared of him, to make them feel like,
Right.
and imagine if you're an 18, 19-year-old attendant and you're given this secret information about this evil, demonized, mentally diseased person, and you're going to think you're really so powerful and a part of a special clique.
Oh yeah.
Gives them a common enemy, right?
Yes, exactly.
Common enemy, and
They
us
do need a
against
villain.
them. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you think about that. Like, they sent out these email about you, and it's only to certain people too. It's not like it's everybody. So only those certain people get to see that inside information about you. And like you said, if there was some young kid who is an attendant, now their ego's gonna feel a little bit more inflated, because now they have this other inside info that not everybody else gets too. So it adds to their own projection of themselves as well within their organization.
And if you think about the 14 men who have been charged with Jehovah's Witness child abuse in the past 9 months, are those pictures being emailed to all the congregations? Hey, look for these guys. They have been known, that they have been proven to abuse kids.
Exactly.
There's actual real dangers in the congregation, not me.
Yeah. 100%. I couldn't have said it better
That's
myself.
a great point, Martin. But that's something that they're not going to do, because they won't do anything to paint them in a negative light. Yeah, that's such a good point.
That is
the real criminals, the real danger right in front of them inside their own congregations, and they will not protect them. They want to protect them from an invisible enemy, which is Martin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So dangerous, Martin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I almost didn't invite you on here because you were so dangerous,
We're afraid of you. Yeah. Oh, brother.
You're even scaring us other apostates here. You're so dangerous.
It's the beard. That's what it is.
Oh,
well,
yes.
I mean, maybe
evil Spock,
I think it's more of the shiny head. We're kind of blinded by it all.
I need a hat. That's what I need.
That's why I wear one. Don't you know?
I would just love to know, like, who's writing these emails, who's organizing this, like, who is this, like, who's the main brain behind this scenario?
I found the guy who sent the email. He's an elder from Slatington, Pennsylvania. He's a real estate agent. He owns property in a couple towns, or selling property, listing property. I don't know if he owns them or just selling them. So I did find him. I did email him.
Checked up
Sunday night and said, hey, by the way, I'm the person you're so scared of. So he has not responded for some reason. I don't know why.
What? No response.
Martin,
oh my God, I can't
you are
believe
the
it.
ish, Martin. Yeah. I love it. I love a baddie. I love somebody who is not afraid of responding to. Yeah, that is awesome.
And then my only question is not for him. Sorry to talk, but what I don't understand, my wife and I don't understand, we never disassociated, right? And we were never disfellowshipped. Maybe we are in absentia, but we were never notified, never emailed, never texted, never called. And so if I'm not one of Jehovah's Witnesses, well, then prove it. Technically, I'm still am if I'm still not disfellowshipped. The circuit overseer, like 3 months after I left, my wife and I, he called us and texted us, and he left a message, texted me. He's like, I really want to help you and your wife and your kids. And I ignored him, So to me, that means I'm not disfellowshipped, but maybe they have done it since then. So how does he know we're not one of Jehovah's Witnesses if we're not disfellowshipped? He wasn't in my circuit or my congregation.
It's the beard.
Yeah.
And I say that because, like, we might make fun of it, but at the same time, for us guys, it's usually one of the first things we do when we leave the organization. Hey, I can grow a beard.
I know. I did
Poof,
it.
it's done. I got to get this beard on.
I did a goatee first. I had a goatee for about a year. Then I went with a full beard.
You had to
I
move your
just
way
went-
into it, transition your way over into the full beard.
Oh no, I didn't transition. I just went straight for it.
And you know what I find interesting too, like just a little quick sidebar, is like to be a Jehovah's Witness, it's very expensive, right? Like the cost of shaving, like if you have a thick beard, like my husband, for instance, his razors, I think a pack of razors is like $20 or
Yeah.
$30 or something like that. And they, you get a couple uses and then they're done. But if you have to shave like a few times a week, that really adds up, not to mention, of course, like the dress clothes and the gas money to get to where you need to go consistently. But it really is a taxing religion that keeps you broke just to keep in the, on the good side of people. So they're not judging you, which is really sad.
Yeah, I went from like a razor lasted me maybe a few weeks to a month to now lasting me like 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big
cost.
savings.
Yeah.
It is. It's a huge cost. It really is. When you're shaving regularly, anybody who does it knows that it gets expensive. So
We always had a
Anyway.
van or an SUV that could hold 7. My wife was a pioneer, and there'd be some weeks that she would drive every day, and we might go through $100 a week in gas just for service. And
wow.
you might get gas money. There's
Damn.
never guarantee, but everything about being a Jehovah's Witness was expensive. Donations
Mhm.
to the Kingdom Hall, breaks at Starbucks could easily be $20-$30 when you have a family. Everything was expensive.
Hmm.
Right. But that's kind of what you're expected to do to stay in the good graces of the congregation. If you're not putting those efforts out, like you're showing that you don't have faith that Jehovah's going to provide for you. And I think that
Yes.
was one of the issues that kind of was pushing me out, as I was showing people, like as a single mom of 3 kids, I'm going to work as many hours as I need to work. And that was a problem because I wasn't relying on Jehovah. Shenanigans. Anyway.
And now
James is frozen.
Uh-oh, did I freeze? I was going to say, was that me or is that James? Uh-oh.
Or maybe it's
Okay,
dramatic
James.
pause. He's just said,
Yeah,
now
that could
what?
be it.
Yeah.
That could be a very dramatic pause. Well, we're going to let James figure out his life for right now. And you had said that you also had some other things that we could discuss. I don't know if we should do that in the interim until James.
oh,
Oh wait,
I'm
are you
back.
back, James?
I'm back. Are you back?
He's raised from the dead.
Are you he's back from the dead. Oh, hallelujah.
It's
Praise
a
be.
miracle. Praise Jeebus.
He's back. Yeah, that was like you said something and then it was just like, and I was like, I was waiting. I was like, is he pausing? Is he?
Well, on my screen, all of us popped off at the same time, and I had the little like buffering bars on all 3
Okay.
screens. I'm like, what the heck?
I
So-
think StreamYard has been doing that to me. So I don't know if they're having issues or if it's on YouTube's issue, because either way, I've been having an issue with them together. So I don't know which is which, but that could be it. Anyhow, did you want to move on into something else, James?
Yeah, we can. Unless Martin had anything else you wanted to say about because we talked about your convention part. Well, actually, let's go into this. Sorry, Ryan. Let's talk about the shredding
Okay.
real quick first, and then if we have time, we'll go into another story. So that was one of the biggest other big reasons I brought you on this morning too, was because of the shredding thing, because you had some updates of what's going on with that. So what's going on with that?
Yeah. So it's kind of funny. Everything wraps around Mark O'Donnell. So 2017, I saw there was a lawsuit about a woman who was abused by an adult woman in Jehovah's Witnesses, the Spring Grove, Pennsylvania congregation. And she was abused October 2005, the same month my daughter was. Different person, different congregation. We had the same circuit overseer. The circuit overseer, of course, lied to me and said this never happens, because that was happening at the exact same time. So I contacted a lawyer. His name is Jeffrey Fritz out of Philadelphia. He was the lawyer that handled this Jerry Sandusky Penn State child abuse cases back in 2011. And so he called me in to be a witness in that trial. And Watchtower tried to block me from being a witness, would not let me do it. The judge allowed me to be to testify. And so I was driving to Philadelphia, and I'm probably about a half an hour out of the side of the city, and they settled the case. So before I could testify, they settled that morning. So I've been in contact with Jeff Fritz ever since then. So about 5 years ago, I actually at the Harrisburg State Capitol rally about Jehovah's Witness child abuse. Another victim in my former congregation, her name's Sarah. I won't use her last name in this case. I was not on her case, but I was aware of it. So I told her about the documents that were shredded in her case. She knew nothing about it. I actually told her at the state capitol in Pennsylvania. It was one of those things that happened. I kind of forgot about it when I saw her. This was 5 years later, 2018. So she didn't know what to do. So I said, hey, I know this lawyer. He's handled other Jehovah's Witness child abuses. He handled the Sandusky case. I can put you in contact with him. So she has a lawsuit right now with Watchtower. And David Camcorder, a reporter from the Philadelphia Inquirer, who did a piece about my wife and I back in 2018 also, wrote this article about what happened. Even though this happened in 2013, it happened 10 years ago. We briefly touched it in the Witness documentary too in 2020. It got back in the news again with the PA grand jury. So the long and short TDL is she was assaulted by a married couple, husband and wife. She was a teenager. She was working for them. They had owned their own business. And she left the organization as a teenager. She got married to a worldly guy, and she came back, but she didn't want to go back to York Ann or her congregation. So she came to our congregation in Red Lion. That she approached the elders with the abuse. She had never gone to the elders in the previous congregation. Excuse me. And they formed a committee, And so her husband said, you got to go to the police. Elders in my congregation said, don't go to the police. She went to the police. They got a warrant to search our Kingdom Hall for the records. The elders were freaking out. And they actually told us, the headquarters, to shred all the documents in her case. So all the notes the elders had taken, all the investigation, and our coordinator, his name was Bob Dudish. I'm going to throw him to the bus. Who cares? He said, it's okay. Just rewrite your notes up after you're done. The way judicial committees work is the whole time you're meeting, maybe 3 or 4 times, maybe twice, all the elders take handwritten notes. You all compile it. When the committee's done, whether reinstatement, reproof, or nothing, all the other elders are supposed to give your notes to the chairman. The chairman's supposed to compile them, type them up, and file them in the Kingdom Hall. So they were saying that we'll just recompile them after the police leave. So I did buy the shredder, but I did not shred the documents. I was not there when that happened. So I did tell the police about this years ago. I mean, the Attorney General's office. I did tell Jeffrey Fritz. So when this whole thing happened with the blocking of me at the convention, I called up Jeffrey on Monday, and he said the trial is progressing, and if it goes to trial, I'm going to testify against Watchtower in that case. So again, Sarah might settle. She might be okay. I don't know. It's up to her. It's not us to say it has to go to trial. She's the victim, not us. Right now, my daughter still does not want to sue. I can't force her, so I'm not going to pursue that right now. So hopefully we can get some more justice for these people. And I think the elders should be held criminally liable for their actions in this case and all the other cases.
Oh, absolutely. And I 100% agree with that. And for our audience, just yesterday, Martin came onto my other channel and I interviewed him. So as soon as I get that edited, I'll release it. But that was one of the things we talked about was the victims. And, even though we want to see Watchtower pay as much as they possibly can, but if the victim feels like they need to settle and that's what they need to do, that is their choice, their decision, and we should not try to influence them in any way because we don't know what they're going through.
Yeah.
We don't know how that's dragging it on is going to affect them mentally, versus settling and moving on with their life. So, every little hit to Watchtower's pocketbook is great. I know we
Yeah,
want to see the big
exactly.
ones, but every little bit helps. So
What I hope, I don't know if this is going to happen, but I keep getting hints, tidbits, maybe little things that if Pennsylvania or other states start arresting elders, and even if it's a misdemeanor, even if it's a class 3 felony, but if elders start to get arrested and become criminals just for not reporting child abuse, all of a sudden you're going to see thousands upon thousands of elders stop stepping down because the whole organization is going to crumble. If they know they can go to jail, maybe it's only
Yes.
weekend, maybe it's just a fine. It happened in Delaware. They had to pay a $29,000 fine for not reporting child abuse back in 2019. It happened in
Dang.
Chicago, Illinois. Two old men were arrested for they allowed abuse to happen for years. It might happen in Montana with an Lexi Nunez case. Those elders might get charged too. If it happens every congregation in every state, you're not going to have any elders at all. The circuit overseers could be arrested.
The risk will be too great.
Yeah.
Well, even think about this as well. When you get arrested, you now have a criminal record.
Yeah.
So that's going to affect your employment, and that's going to affect your livelihood. And the witnesses are already, by and large, and I'm not every one of them, of course, but by and large, are working low-paying jobs.
Yeah.
And can't afford to lose what little they have already. So if they start getting arrested and going to jail, even if it is just a little bit, that's going to follow them and affect them being able to support their families and everything too. So yeah, you're right. I wouldn't want to become an elder knowing, hey, if I have to handle one of these cases, I could possibly get arrested if I, handle it the way the organization tells me to.
Right. Exactly. And it also will start to well, you'd hope that it would start to serve as a warning to other elders seeing this go down in, neighboring congregations, like elders being held accountable for what they're being told to do, really like the instructions are coming down from the higher ups. But
And
that could maybe change some hearts seeing this
there's one other problem
unfold.
I'm sorry. There's one other problem on the flip side of that as well. So, oh man, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, I hate that.
Toot, toot.
Yeah,
Buffering.
I know, right?
Yeah, you're buffering too this morning.
It's a sign of me getting old, right?
I do have one more piece of news. I just remembered it. I wish I would have sent you the link. I wish I would have had this ready. I just forgot about it. I'm so sorry. So the PA grand jury AG's office investigation started by a local prosecutor realized there was a major problem, and they submitted all their records of child abuse to the PA Attorney General's office. So that's how it started. Now they won't tell me which was it. Philadelphia, was it Altoona, was it Erie, was it Pittsburgh? I don't know where it was. They won't tell me. But I just got a link from another state in America, and I forget what state it was. I didn't save it on my phone, but their district attorney has submitted help for a statewide investigation to their attorney general's office. So another state in America is doing that. I don't remember what state it was, but it's just again, they could be lying to me, but it was a Reddit post. It was a link to their attorney general's office. So hopefully what's happening in Pennsylvania happens in another state also.
Oh, I need to know that.
I just remembered
on this.
I just remembered what I was going to say. So if there is a flip side to that as well with the elders, if they start doing the right thing, okay, and reporting, then because of that, then the organization will start removing them as well. If they start doing the actual right thing and not following the organization's rules. So there's two sides to that coin with the elders. They're damned if they do and damned if they don't.
Good point. Yeah, they're going to struggle because they're going to have to make a decision that's either going to mean they're committing crimes or it means they have to leave their life behind as a
or at least just leave their position as an elder.
Right. But possibly even
not even
be welcomed anymore.
Even with both sides of that, you're losing elders. Therefore, you don't have the people to run the congregations. Therefore, like Martin said, they crumble. So it's really a win-win either way.
Mm-hmm. It is. I mean, for us, I'm I'm thrilled to see this happen. I'm thrilled to see survivors finally getting an attempt at some justice, and also the Jehovah's Witness organization getting the real press that they deserve, not the stuff being put out by the PID department.
Heaven Unfound, that is awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. Really, that is wonderful.
That is amazing. I'm thankful.
Okay, sorry, it's Ohio.
Is it now? It's Ohio. Okay.
It doesn't mean they're going to
that's
take the
interesting.
investigation. Okay, sorry,
Right.
I found it. I'm so prepared.
That's
That's
okay.
okay.
We appreciate you being here. Thank you.
So,
That's worth looking into.
anyways, now that we've gotten all that out of our system, Ryan, you said you had something you want to share with us this morning?
Sure. But thank you, Martin, for all of that. That's great information. Love having you here when you're giving us the deep dives, giving us the inside scoops. Okay,
Inside
so
baseball.
yeah, that's right. Inside whatever, just give it to me. I was going to go through a couple articles very quickly and just give you the rundown of what's happening. So I guess the president or whatever is trying to file some kind of rule so that way there's 19 states that want access to your healthcare information outside of the state. So basically they want to know if you're going somewhere to get some kind of treatment, for your healthcare. And HIPAA should be protecting us from people gaining access, right? But
Should
not
be.
with the way it should be enough, but not with the way changes are happening in this country almost on a daily basis, it seems. So anyway, the government is trying to file this rule so that way they can't access your health information, but there's 19 states who are rallying against it, trying to find out, like, if you're having an abortion, even if it's like you want an infertility treatments. You could need hormonal treatments because, I'm of age and I might need to access, stuff just because I need my gender affirming care. Like everybody's entitled to gender affirming care, but they want access to that. And that's really disgusting to me that a government thinks that they should know what I need to do to take care of that's just so weird to me, y'all. No matter where you stand, you should not want the government like knowing what you're doing.
You just made me think of a TikToker that I used to see. It was hilarious. She would call up the governor of her state and leave messages about her periods every month and how long they were, how heavy they were, and everything like that.
I heard that.
And she's like, since you want to know all about my business, I might as well just call you up and tell you all about it.
But I mean, that's how silly it is. Like that, you shouldn't need to know, like, if I'm giving my husband a blowjob. Like, it's ridiculous. The government is going too far, and it's at the pressure of these far right conservatives, these people who want a theocracy. They want a Christian nation. And we have to do everything we can to fight it. So there's that. Just so you know, there's 19 states who want to know what's happening with your body, regardless of what it is. They desperate need to know, but protect the kids, right? Yeah, this is really protecting the kids, I'm sure. And then I'm going to move along into guess who's going bankrupt? You wouldn't believe it. So, of course, the Roman Catholic, I know it's so freaking funny to me. Should I be laughing? I don't know. It feels cathartic to me that the Catholic Church
feels Catholic.
It feels Catholic. That's right. It feels very Catholic that the diocese, it has to take this hard, brutal, like we're being so hard on them. They just want to practice their religion, they just want to be able to assault children.
We just want to abuse children in peace. How dare you interfere with that? The audacity.
What kind of person am I to infringe on their rights? God,
I have a story about that town. We
Oh,
did
do you?
we did unassigned territory 3 years in a row near Ogdensburg, New York, 2013, 14, and 15. 2013, there
wow.
was 3 congregations. They sold one of them, merged them. 2014, they sold another hall. They were down to 1. In 2015, every Kingdom Hall besides Ogdensburg was sold, and they had to either drive to Watertown, New York, which is an hour away, or Ogdensburg, which is an hour away. They
Yo,
made them go to Canada.
Wow.
They made them get all passports and go across the river because
stop
it's
it.
yeah.
Whoa.
I'm not lying. I'm not.
Oh my God.
So that circuit was probably bankrupt. They sold all 3 of their little. These are halls that had like 30 publishers, 35 publishers. Yeah, I mean, my wife was already waking up in 2015. I wasn't. Now I look back and I knew it was just money. But Ogdensburg was an hour north where we were, and then it was Hammond, New York, and then Watertown was an hour south. But the closest Kingdom Hall was, and we found an old sister who didn't have a passport who couldn't go to meetings in 2015. So every single JW had to get a passport. Yeah, that's just bullshit. Sorry, I
Jeez.
jumped in
Wow.
that thing.
No,
No, that's
because
crazy.
this is really important because the parallels, right? Okay, because truth be told, the Catholic Church is just, they've been uncovered, I don't know, 20, whenever it started coming out, all the abuses that was happening 20, 30 years ago. The J-Dubs are kind of, and the Mormons are kind of like, all these other religions are now just kind of catching up in the spotlight. So I kind of feel like what we see happen to the Catholics, we may see also happening to the Jehovah's Witnesses. So what's happening is, as you can see here, there's over 100 lawsuits alleging sexual abuse, and these lawsuits emerged after New York temporarily lifted the statute of limitations again, which we're seeing here, like that 2-year window in Pennsylvania, we're hoping to get lifted, allowing victims of childhood abuse to pursue even decades-old allegations. The Bishop of Odensburg, Terry R. LaValle, confirmed there are 124 cases against the diocese, with claims dating from the 1940s to the 1990s. Right? Okay, so this is a long time coming, and I definitely feel as though we're going to see something of this nature happening with the Jehovah's Witnesses as soon as we can pressure these states to start lifting either the statute of limitations or at least get some kind of window like Pennsylvania is trying to do. But then people who, have been abused but have been sitting on it for 50 years can finally come forward, and they have every right to. Like
Mhm.
I feel sad that it's had to take this long. They deserve their justice, years ago. It never should have happened, never should have been covered up. Um, so yeah, that's that. Boohoo, claiming bankruptcy, don't care, not
Hey,
bothered by it.
you know what? If all these churches go bankrupt because of their crimes that they're hiding, that's okay with me, because
Mhm.
they don't deserve to be running their businesses as long as they're covering up all this child abuse and trying to manipulate the laws to get away with it. I have no
Absolutely.
sympathy for that. So,
As same for me. Okay, so I'm going to move just to keep the going here. I'm going to move to our next story. And we've talked about before the ICWA, the Indigenous Child Welfare Act. And I'm not sure if I relayed to you, but the Indigenous Child Welfare Act was safe. People were fighting against it, but thankfully that protection remains. So children won't be ripped out of their families, they'll be kept inside their culture. So because what was happening is things like residential schools, good old Catholics, good old Mormons, adopting, basically stealing Indigenous babies from their families under the guise of, like, you know, not being good mothers or whatever. And I'm sure there could be cases where the people, maybe aren't the best parents, but they want that child to remain in their culture. So that way they're not being Christianized, because that's what the goal is of this country, is to Christianize everybody. So anyway, that leads us really into like MMIW and how our Indigenous friends are treated. They go missing, their cases aren't seen or heard, and unfortunately there's been a few bodies that have turned up in a landfill, and they're pressing to try to get this landfill searched to see if there are sadly, possibly even more missing and murdered Indigenous women. So just keep that aware. If you all, maybe in Canada, like there's nothing that you feel like you could do, but maybe you want to send a few dollars to whatever tribes, you can read this article. All the links are in the description. So everything that we've went over today, if we have an article for it, you can take a look at that. But again, you feel like you're here, you can't do anything. What can I do? If you have it, that's something that you can do, or you can tweet about it just to let other people know. Sometimes just spreading the word also is helpful to put the pressure on. So that's that. Please keep our Indigenous friends in mind. They're going through shit in this country and other countries as well, as you can see. So thank you.
Okay. Well, with that, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the show for today. So want to thank our audience, first of all, for joining us this morning. Martin, thank you for coming on again and being a great source of information and great to talk to, as always.
No problem.
Greatly appreciate everything you do.
Having me. Yeah.
Definitely. It's great having you on. And we'll have to do it again. And even if just to have you just to be a commentator and not be the story.
I'll wear a hat next time, though.
I will keep mine on. I'm not going to say I'm going to take mine off.
I guess I'll have to get a hat now too. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, if you want to talk, you better.
Yeah, you cover your head.
I don't want to get myself in trouble.
Right?
With the Holy Spirit. I don't want the Holy Spirit to get angry with me.
Ryan, did you guys have a hat in the second school for the women for the service meeting? Every Kingdom Hall I always went to always had that hat for the women. You know what I mean? That way they could put it on.
My hall.
I don't know if we did. I think we would just take a scarf or something. Every time I saw it happen, they would take like a tissue, a scarf,
I've seen that too. But,
yeah. I'm surprised that they didn't, probably because it rarely happened. I remember like a 12, 13-year-old boy being able to lead like meetings or whatever, simply because there wasn't a brother. Disgusting.
Mm-hmm. And I even had a sister one time, because she didn't have a hat, put a napkin on her head.
Yes, I remember that.
You look back, it's just so silly. But anyways,
that's more disrespectful. If you ask me, that's even more disrespectful to ask a person to put a napkin on their head in order for God to hear them. So
yes. So anyways, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you, everybody, for joining us again. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and help get the algorithms moving on this channel.
Martin.
Go find Martin. All of his links are in the description below as well. And we will see you all next week. And remember to apostate your way.
That's right. Listen to Baby Blessed. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Martin.
You're welcome.